Hi there, friend, and welcome back to my channel. My name is Marissa, and this is A to Zen Life, and I'm so glad that you joined me here today for this extreme clean, declutter, and organize with me. Today, we are going to get down and dirty because my house is an absolute disaster, and I can't wait to take you along with me as I try to put it in order. So, hopefully, you're just as excited about that as I am. Before we dive in, I thought I would just take a moment to catch you up to speed on what's been going on behind the scenes leading up to this massive cleaning, decluttering, and organizing marathon. So, a while back, we purchased this mid century modern house from the 1970s, and we knew that the first thing that we wanted to do was tear out the smelly old carpets, get rid of those, and put in some nice hardwood floors. But our first flooring guy ghosted us completely. Like, he just stopped responding to our calls and texts until he finally called my husband back and let him know he didn't have time to do this project with us anymore, which was fun. And by fun, I mean not fun at all. But luckily, we were able to find another flooring company that was referred to us by my husband's best friend who lives in the area. And they got started to work as soon as they could. And they worked really fast and did a great job putting the flooring in. But once they were done with the flooring, what we realized is there is just a fine layer of sawdust on absolutely every flat surface throughout the house. So, the first thing that we need to do is go through all of the rooms and try to remove as much of this sawdust from the walls and the other areas of our home, especially because we are having someone come in to paint certain rooms. So, we want to make sure that the walls are clean before they put the paint down. Now, I'm sure that a lot of you, and probably in fact most of you, aren't having to wipe down all of the walls in your house with a Swiffer like I am. However, I know that when I need to get things done, I always find it really helpful and motivating to have someone there along with me, whether that's in person or by listening to a podcast or watching a YouTube video or something. So, just take me along with you as you're doing whatever it is that you need to do in your own particular house. Maybe while I'm dusting my walls, you could be dusting or deep cleaning some of the places in your home that need a little love and attention. And of course, as we go through, I'll be playing some nice background music. And if I see anything that I feel like is a tip or a hack or something that I'm trying that's new that I think is worth sharing with you, I'll be sure to mention it. And I'll also kind of update you as we go through the different rooms and the different spaces as to what we're doing in the spaces or what we're thinking of doing that hasn't been done yet, because there is a lot on my to do list. And I'm sure you've got a lot on your to do list too. So let's get started. Now, one thing that I did when I was deep cleaning this room is that I went in a clockwise motion around the room so that I didn't lose track of where that I was. And I went around the room clockwise and I cleaned all of the areas that I could reach standing on my feet first. And then once I got back to the place where I started, now what I'm doing is I have to take a ladder and get to those harder to reach places closer to the ceiling. So we are going to climb up this ladder and take a look across the top of this closet. And I am pretty confident that this has not been cleaned in a long time. So I think we're gonna have to use the heavy duty Swiffer pads for this one. I was like so scared that I was going to fall off this ladder. So originally I was going to go up one more, and then I was like, nope, nope. And I stepped back down. And then I checked for stability. And then I tried to step back up again. And then I noped back down again. And I tried to reach as much as I could from this level. The previous owners that we bought this house from were in their 70s and 80s. I think the husband was 86 or so. And I know for a fact that they had people who would come and clean and help them with things like gardening and whatnot. But I'm pretty sure that even when they had people coming here to clean the house, that they weren't climbing up on a ladder and getting this area. Oh, it's going over the edge, it's falling. I don't think I was mentally prepared for the level of filth that is up there falling off now on the floor. I don't know if you can see it up there in the corner, but there is a giant spider and he thinks that he's safe, but little does he know, I am coming for him with my Swiffer. So you probably noticed as I've been cleaning this room that there are no longer curtains or blinds on the windows behind me or leading out to the sun porch, because the curtains and blinds that were hanging in here previously were this kind of brown autumn floral pattern that was definitely a vibe, but it wasn't the vibe that we were going for. And so we decided to take those down, and we did end up tossing them because unfortunately, like the carpets, they had this kind of like musty smell to them. Those of you who have been to nursing homes probably know the kind of smell I'm talking about. My husband has never experienced that before, but I've been around a lot of older people who weren't exactly in the best health and gone to a lot of nursing homes, and that was kind of the smell that was lingering around these curtains. So in the end, we did decide to take them down, and when the flooring guys were getting rid of the old carpets, they also got rid of the curtains for us as well. However, we did decide to take down and save the curtains that were hanging in the living room because visually they weren't too bad and we felt like they actually fit the space quite nicely, but they were a little bit yellowed with age and did have that same kind of musty odor lingering about them. So what we did is my husband and I took them down, and then I folded them and rolled them up and put them inside a trash bag so that when I get a minute, I can run to a dry cleaners and see if it's something that they can clean up and remove, and maybe we can salvage that. And that would definitely help us save some money because blinds and curtains are expensive, y'all. So here we are for day 2 of this extreme clean with me, and I got all of the walls clean the previous day, but today what I'm trying to do is I've got to address some of the other flat surfaces in the home, like countertops in the kitchen and ledges. But before I do that, I just want to go through and clean all of the toilets because not only have they not been cleaned since we closed, but also they have been in use the entire time by the gentlemen who are doing our renovations. So I'm just going to put on some gloves and get in here and give it a nice thorough cleaning. And I do wear gloves because I used to work at a hospital, and before that I was a tattoo artist, and part of our safety measures whenever we're working with other people's bodily fluids is to put on gloves. So I'm going to put on the gloves and get in there, and I always start by applying the liquid inside of the toilet bowl to kind of sit. And then after I do that, then that's when I go and I wipe the outside of the toilet down, and I always use one specific rag to clean the toilet, and I have it marked with the word toilet so that I don't get confused and it doesn't get mixed in with the other rags that I would use for cleaning in my home. So I'm going to give this toilet a nice cleaning. I'll also go through and get the other toilets in our house before moving on to the rest that I need to do in here today. Okay, now that I've gotten the toilets clean, I'm going to move on and try to get kind of the ledges that are around our house. So in this mid-century modern house, we kind of have some taller areas like above the fireplace here that has also collected dust and sawdust over time. And then we've also got this kind of ledge that's over the kitchen. So it's a really interesting kitchen, and it's kind of boxed in, but the top of the box is open. So I was having a really hard time reaching this. I first tried to climb the stairs to kind of get to that ledge, and I was able to get some of it clean, but then my husband came in and he saw me doing that. He's like, well, you need to get out the ladder. My pants
are absolutely filthy and covered in sawdust. But what can you do? Gotta clean. I don't know if you can see what I'm seeing here, but there are just lines of sawdust on all of the surfaces here. And I can see where there's sawdust and where there isn't, from people moving stuff around. I bet you can see it on this black surface. All of that is wood dust.
So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to go in with a Swiffer cloth and I'm just going to wipe down all of the flat surfaces in the kitchen, from the window frames to the countertops to the cooktop there. And as you can see, there is tons of sawdust in here as well. So we're going to have to switch this out to a new one quite frequently. But I really like using these cloths for dusting jobs like this, where I'm removing a lot of dry dust first, then before going in and trying to kind of clean it with, a cleaner and another cloth, because the Swiffer cloths seem to just really kind of grab onto that dust and debris and get it out of the way so that I can then go back in and do a better job when I'm cleaning again. So here we are, it's day 3, and we are getting ready for another day of deep cleaning. And as you can see, I'm hooking on this thing onto my back that kind of makes me look like a Ghostbuster, not gonna lie. So this is actually the vacuum cleaner that the guys who did our floors were using to clean up after the mess that they made. And my husband was really excited when he saw them using it, and he asked if they would let him test it out because he thought that it would be really great for the various hard to reach surfaces in our home and things like cleaning the stairs. So they let him put it on and test it out, and he was so impressed that he decided to purchase one himself, and he is totally nuts about it. So I just wanted to go in deep with the brush attachment on this vacuum cleaner and really get any of the stuff that's kind of left inside these cabinets, and I realized there were cobwebs on the floor here, so that's what I'm doing there. So now that I've gotten the dust off of all of the cabinets in here, what I want to do is go in with a multi-surface cleaner, and I'm just going to spray that on and wipe down the wood surfaces. I want to get both the outside and the inside of all of the cabinets, as well as this countertop here. And I just kind of noticed that the wood was looking a little bit dull. So I'm really hoping that this will bring a little bit more richness and shine back into this beautiful wood. This is my first time using this spray and it smells so good. I am obsessed. I was doing research last night on what kind of cleaner I could use for my wood cabinets and maybe some other surfaces too, and my research led me to this, and it's pink grapefruit scented and it smells fantastic. If you have ever tried this, or if you have any other tips about good cleaners to use, let me know, but so far I'm loving this. If you're doing a lot of deep cleaning or decluttering or organizing like I am, don't forget to stop for a lunch break. This Chipotle was really hitting the spot. I am a burrito girl. I always get the chicken burrito, but my husband is a burrito bowl guy. Sometimes I would make lunch for us to take with us when we were working for hours at a time at the house, but we were trying to eat up what was in our fridge. So on a day like this, we just decided to go and grab Chipotle really quick so that we could eat and be done with it and get back to work. I don't know if you noticed this, but just like when I was doing the dusting in the kitchen as well, I'm also going around the room in a clockwise motion so that I don't forget where I was in the cleaning if I should happen to take a break and I need to leave and come back, so that I, number one, don't forget to clean something, and number two, don't end up re-cleaning something that I've already cleaned. I don't know if you're like this as well, but I'm totally that girl who will be overthinking her happy little thoughts in the shower and then totally forget whether or not I've washed my hair. So then I'll have to go back and shampoo it again. So a strategy like this is really helpful in preventing those oopsie moments. So as I was wiping down this cabinet, I kind of noticed some glass that was kind of stuck back underneath this shelf. And then when I reached in there, I pulled out what looks like a Christmas, I don't know, ceramic charger, and then also a glass plate of some sort that's kind of like laser etched or something. So I do have the former seller's cell phone number, so I'm going to message her and just double check that she doesn't want either of these items. And if she doesn't, then I'm going to go ahead and donate them, because this random stuff is not something that I would personally go out and buy, and therefore I don't want to keep it in my home just because I found it. Past me would have been like, oh my gosh, free stuff, I'm totally keeping this. But now that I've been a minimalist for many years, I'm a lot more choosy about what I make space for in my home. These cabinets are like mysteriously and unexpectedly stinky, so we're gonna have to clean these out and then maybe just leave the doors open to air out a little bit, because I don't know what this smell is. Now that I've gotten the cabinets clean, the next project I want to tackle is cleaning the refrigerator. And to do that, what I'm doing is I'm mixing 1 part distilled white vinegar with 1 part water. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to use this to spray down the inside and the outside of the refrigerator. And vinegar is great because it's really good for disinfecting and just kind of getting things like tough water stains or lime scale off of appliances, for example. I cannot get this lid. There we go. True story. We have slugs in our garden that are eating our hostas. So my husband bought some beer, which supposedly is supposed to help get rid of slugs in your garden. So far, we haven't seen good results, but I don't think we were using the right containers yet either. So this is beer for the slugs. I was trying to remove the shelving that was attached to the inside of the refrigerator door, but for the life of me, I could not figure out how to get these things out of there. I tried and I tried, but I just couldn't do it. So in the end, I just decided to leave it be and say, hey, this is a problem for me to solve another day, and give it a good spray and a wipe down like I did with the rest of the fridge. Because when you're on a roll, you don't really want to slow down your momentum with these kinds of things. And you can always come back and clean or figure out something like that later. I'm really excited about this egg container that came with our fridge, because I always make boiled eggs for our family every single week, but I just realized that I don't have a sponge here yet. So I'm gonna use this Swedish dishcloth that I got in a pack from Costco because I'm trying to transition away from microfiber cloths to Swedish dishcloths. And so we're gonna use different patterns to represent different things in the house. So like the ones with the mushrooms on them are going to be for the kitchen, and then I think we'll use bathroom for like other patterns. So we'll see how it goes. I haven't decided yet, but we're gonna start with this pattern, which I think is just so cute. While I was cleaning this egg carton in the sink, my husband answered the door to receive a package that I had been expecting that contained something that I was really, really excited about. So back when I was first sharing my empty house tour, which I will make sure to link up here in the top right hand corner and down in the description box below if you haven't seen that yet. So in that video, I asked people to share their favorite tips and products for cleaning tile floors like the one that we have in our kitchen and dining room. And over, I was getting recommendations to get a steamer mop, and a couple people mentioned this one, which is the Bissell Power Fresh Deluxe Steam Mop. And I was really excited to get this unboxed and put together so that we could start cleaning the floor, because as we were walking around, we could just feel this kind of like layer of grime underneath our feet. And even just looking at the tiles, you could tell that they were just not in their best and shiniest condition. So I got the steam mop all put together, and then I went to the kitchen and used our Brita filter to fill up the little measuring cup that comes with the PowerFresh steam mop to kind of pour into the reservoir so that it would have clean water to steam and clean the floors with. But then unfortunately, when I tried to actually turn it on and use it to clean the floors, it was powering on, the reservoir was heating up, I could see that it was getting warm, but no steam was coming out. And I forgot to turn my camera's microphone on for this, but this is me basically complaining about this steam mop and saying that I can't get it to work, and I called customer service and they tried to help me, but they couldn't do it. So they were shipping me a replacement, but in the meantime, we're just not going to be able to clean our floors. But I'm happy to report that the replacement mop did arrive the very next day, and because I was tied up with some other decluttering and organizing projects, my husband was the one that put it together, and then he turned it on, and this time it did work. So he got right down to getting those tile floors clean. I don't think that you can see it that well in this video, but in person, when I'm looking at this floor now that it's clean, I can see that these tiles have like actual sparkles, almost like when you go to the beach and there's grains of sand sparkling in the light. I feel like they just look black and grainy on this video, but in person, it's really, really pretty. And it wasn't until we washed away all of that kind of grime that we were able to see what was underneath. But one tip I did have that I wanted to share with you is if you're going to use a steam mop, is get several extra pads, and you don't have to have the Bissell brand. I ordered like off-brand extra pads, but that way when you're cleaning and one pad gets dirty, you can just switch to the next pad instead of having to bother to go and clean the pad that you got dirty. That would really slow down the cleaning process. So when you have extras, you can go straight from one soiled pad to the next until you've gotten the whole job done, and then just throw them all in the laundry at once. And then the final project that I wanted to tackle today is getting all of the shelves and the surfaces in the closet cleaned, both in my closet and in the kids' closet. My husband also had to reassemble some pieces that they took down when they were fixing the floors. I don't know why they were messing with that, but they did. So my husband was fixing a few things and putting them back together in there. And meanwhile, I was using that spray that I showed you before and just wiping everything down in both our main closet and then also the boys' closet. Because they're going to be sharing a bedroom, there is a closet on either side. So I did one side and then the other, and then we called it a day. So here we are, it's day 4, and today our goal is to get everything decluttered and packed and move it to the new house, and then do some organizing once we get there. So right now what we're doing is my boys and I are going around the living room and we're decluttering some items like trash, or broken toys, or things that we just don't really want to take with us, and we're tossing it into a white garbage bag. And then anything that we want to keep, we're quickly packing into boxes, like some board games that we have here, books, and some of my kids' video game stuff. So I'm going to be putting this kind of stuff into boxes, and then also I have some luggages upstairs that I'm going to be using for the move. And from the living room, then I moved into the kitchen, and now I'm tackling the pantry. So I'm packing away some of the stuff that we need to take, and then I'm also trying to declutter as much as possible things like cereal that has gotten stale that my kids didn't finish and the box needs to be recycled. I don't need to move cereal boxes with stale cereal inside of it. Or this box of pasta that has just a few pasta sticks left inside of it because after having dinner and then my kids snacking on dry pasta, which, yes, is something that they actually do, I'm just gonna trash those few sticks that are left and recycle the box because it's just not worth me trying to pack up stuff like that. So if you're decluttering along with me today, now might be a good time for you to dig into your pantry or your refrigerator or your freezer and see if there's anything in there that's expired or stale or that you could get rid of. Like, for example, this pie crust that has gotten freezer burn, or the random glow stick that I found from last Halloween. Things like this that just take up extra space for no reason we can get rid of. Now that I've gotten all of the food items in the pantry, refrigerator, and freezer decluttered, now I'm going to move on to packing away some of the items from the pantry first, and I'm going to save the items that are in the refrigerator and the freezer until the very, very end of our move. Now I'm digging into our utensil drawer, and our situation is a little bit unique because a lot of the items in this drawer do not belong to us. We have been living in a furnished rental, and so some of these items are supposed to be left behind, and the rental company is going to pick them up tomorrow. But I need to go through and kind of separate out the things that are actually ours so that we can pack them away and take them with us and then leave the rest behind. I got this stuff by accident. I meant to get parchment paper, but I accidentally got unbleached wax paper, and I'm never going to use this, so I'm just going to get rid of it. So I'm going to try to pack up my kids' clothes and just put it all in one big suitcase. And if I come across anything that's damaged or, stained or outgrown or anything, I'm just going to get rid of it. Like, I know that these pants have a giant hole in the knee, so we're not going to bother moving this. We're just going to trash it. That's how it's going today. My strategy here is try to be as low effort as possible. So I am basically just taking as much as I can and keeping it on the hanger and then putting it into luggages. And basically what I'm doing is I'm using one large luggage per family member to try to pack their stuff. My husband's clothes are going into this blue luggage that you see on the bed, and then Dee Dee's clothes are going into this green suitcase, and his were not hanging, his were in the dresser, so I'm just kind of taking them out as they were folded and stuffing them in there. We're going for speed and not beauty here. Okay, moving on to my own bedroom, the first thing we're gonna do is go through here and see if there's anything that we can just toss to get it out of the way so that we don't have to waste time moving things that aren't worth moving. Like right away here in the top drawer, I found some socks from a hospital stay that one of us had recently where we underwent surgery, and we don't need these, so those can go. And then I also found some random hooks. Like, I don't even know what these hooks are from, how they got here. There is literally a hole in my memory when it comes to this. So I'm gonna go ahead and get rid of these because you can't miss what you didn't know you had in the first place. Now that I've gone through and decluttered all of the unwanted items inside of the dresser, the next thing I'm going to do is get the stuff out of the closet and the dresser and pack it away for the move, starting with this big, bulky winter robe that is huge, but honestly, I adore because it keeps me so warm. And I'm just gonna put stuff straight from the closet, still on the hanger, into the suitcase. I'm gonna take the stuff out of the drawers and plop it into the suitcase, or using this laundry hamper over here, just kind of pack it in there, just going as quickly and efficiently as possible.
I know I always joke that my husband is a sock hoarder, and I mean, just look at how many socks he has. Who needs this many pairs of socks? But he likes having a lot of socks.
In the many years that I've been decluttering myself and then later helping people declutter, I've come to realize that clutter can be so deeply personal to each of us. And the experiences that we have in our lives shape our feelings about stuff and the stories that we tell ourselves about our things. My husband grew up in third world poverty, and then even when he immigrated to Germany, he remembers how poor his family used to be and how painful it was and how embarrassing for him to only own one pair of shoes and one pair of socks. And so that's why he tends to hold on to a lot of socks. And then in my case, the loss of my parents and my childhood home and a bunch of other friends and family members in my early 20s turned me into a hoarder who is completely unable to let go of physical things and also the past and the emotions and the regret and the sadness associated with it. So, I guess what I'm trying to say here is that all of us have our own reasons why we tend to hold on to clutter. And it's up for each of us to figure out what those reasons are. Because if you've gotten to the point where your home is so full of stuff that you're stressed out and overwhelmed trying to maintain it all, like I was back when I first started my decluttering and minimalism journey, I can't tell you how big of a difference it was not only to declutter the physical items in my home, but even more so to make these massive mindset shifts that allowed me to let go of the past and clear the emotional and the mental clutter that was holding me back. And now we're to the point where 8 years later, after getting rid of 90% of our stuff and continuing to keep up these minimalist habits that keep our home and our life highly simplified, we're now to the point where our home is so much easier to maintain. And look at this, I can pack and move our entire house in one day with relatively little stress. Speaking of which, I had enough time in the afternoon for snack time to take out some blueberries and bananas and Greek yogurt that I was trying to use up and add a little bit of milk and vanilla and honey for some sweetness and turn that into a nice smoothie for all of us to have a little bit of refreshment before we finish up with our packing and moving. After that, it was time for me to pack up the kitchen, and what I decided to do was just get everything that was ours out of the cabinets onto either the countertops or the floors so that I could see how much there was, and then I could go grab some boxes and box that stuff up. I feel like everything takes twice as long when you're filming it. So I had to just turn off the camera and start packing things up because it's starting to get dark outside. But as you can see, I have a bunch of stuff behind me that now I need to load up in the car. There's also more luggages over there. So my husband and Didi already went to the house to take another load. So I am going to pack up this load with Guga and then we're going to head over there too. And then I think we just have one more small load after that. So fingers crossed we get it done fast. This is our third time moving as a minimalist family, and I've got to say, it is definitely easier compared to when I used to move and I wasn't a minimalist. Like the first time that we moved to Germany and we only took 8 suitcases with us. And then when we came back to the USA, we brought back about the same number of suitcases. Today, it looks like we're taking a little bit more. However, you've got to remember that we're also taking things like food and appliances that I wouldn't be able to take internationally. So that does require a few more boxes and an extra trip or two. But I have to say, minimalism has definitely streamlined the whole moving process and made it a lot simpler and less stressful. By the time we got all of our stuff moved to the new house, it was getting kind of late, and I knew I had to start thinking about making dinner soon. So I only had time to tackle one organization project. So I decided that I was going to tackle our closet. I've never had a walk in closet like this before. Now, our previous rental did have a walk in closet, but it was a little bit smaller, and my husband did prefer to keep his clothes in one of the spare bedroom closets because we had so much extra space. Why not just give his clothes room to breathe? And then in Germany, we didn't have any closets whatsoever because we lived in a 100-year-old home and it was built during a time where they didn't have closets. So there we had a wardrobe and we had each our own side of the wardrobe and then shared the middle areas. So now we have enough space in this closet to have his and her sides of the closet. So I asked my husband which side he wanted, and he didn't have a strong opinion either way. So I just decided that I would take the left side of the closet and give him the right side. I'm probably going to have to invest in some more of these sorts of containers for our shelves here because we've got a lot of storage space, but I don't want to just stuff it on the shelves. But I don't have enough right now, so we're just going to put away what we have and then I'll have to get more in the future. Sometimes organizing can feel a lot like a game of Tetris, especially if you're organizing a new space that you're not familiar with. It takes a little bit of shuffling around and moving things around and experimentation and road testing until you get to a result that you're satisfied with. One hack that I always use to keep my wardrobe organized is to arrange clothing items in a kind of light to dark Roy G. Biv pattern, with left side being the lightest and right side going to the darkest. And here, what I've done is I've separated my clothes also by type. So on the left, where I have the longer side of the closet, I've put things like dresses or my longer cardigans. And then on the right of that, I've put my shirts at the top and my pants at the bottom. But each of those categories has been arranged in this color coded pattern. And that really helps me keep track of what's in my wardrobe. And if I'm missing anything, like if it's in the laundry and I forgot about it, then I immediately know because it's not there in its designated spot. So after getting the closet organized, I still haven't organized other things, and especially the kitchen is a mess, but I'm too tired and it's too late to deal with this right now. So we're going to leave this as a project for tomorrow. So I will see you then. Good morning. It is around 7:30 a.m. I think, and we are just now starting to get up and get started with the day. We opened some windows and the wildlife is wilding outside. Let me tell you, it is like squirrels gone wild out there. The ground squirrels were just like chirping nonstop. I think they've calmed down now a little bit because it's a little bit later in the morning, but when we opened them first thing in the morning, it was so anyway, we have a lot to do today. There's a lot of organizing that needs to happen. I think the kitchen is going to be the hardest, trying to find a place for everything in there. Oh, there went the ground squirrels again. All right, so let's see what we can get done today, guys. First things first, my husband got started making some coffee for us, and as you can see, it is still a complete disaster in the kitchen. I basically just dug through things to find what I needed to cook dinner last night and left everything else out on the counter and in boxes around on the floor. So, kudos to my husband for still being able to make a nice cup of coffee for us to enjoy together in the morning. And then we still don't have an actual dining room table yet, so we're sitting down to eat at this folding table that the previous owners left behind. They had some stuff that was just kind of sitting on it, some audio equipment when they sold the house that they didn't want. So we are using that for our table, and I'm just trying to put away some of the clean dishes to restore some order in the kitchen this morning really quickly. And then because the bus routes haven't gotten updated to our new address yet, we do have to take the boys to school ourselves this morning. So one of us is going in one direction, the other is going in the opposite direction. But once we get done with that, then I'm going to head back here and I'm going to get started with organizing this kitchen.
So as you can see, there's quite a mess behind me in the kitchen. I want to try to go through this stuff and get it all put away in the kitchen. I also want to try to tackle the bathroom if I can. And if I have time, I also want to try to get the clothes and toys put away in my kids' bedroom. So let's see how much we're able to accomplish together today. So one thing that I did already accomplish is I got the dishes put away in this cabinet behind me, as you can see here. And I just wanted to go ahead and do that because dishes are something that we need to have our hands on and touch and use. And we ate dinner last night, so I figured why not go ahead and get them put away. So I'm really pleased with how they look in here. And what I tried to do this morning was I tried to go and kind of take things and move it around the kitchen and put it in the particular areas that I'm thinking of storing it in. So I got the spices over here on this side. I got the glasses and the silverware over there. And the food stuff is over by the pantry that I'm gonna put away in the pantry closet. So that's something I went ahead and did just really kind of quickly, is kind of sorted things by categories into the areas where I think that I want them to be stored. I think is the key word here, because I don't know until I get these things put away and I actually start trying to use this kitchen, how it's going to function. So today we're not aiming for perfect, we're aiming for done. I just want to get this done and get the things put away, get the stuff off of the counters, clear out the space, get a little bit more visual piece into this kitchen. And then once I start actually cooking and using the various things in here, then I'll have a better idea of how it will function and where I want to store things.
One question that I find very helpful when it comes to organizing things, especially the kitchen, is to ask myself, where would I go looking for this? And that can really lead you in the direction of where things should be stored. So, for example, for me, it was very intuitive to put the drinking glasses in this cabinet right here, and then some other glass items with it. And then, because my husband seems to want to make coffee in this little corner here, I naturally felt like it made sense to put our coffee making products and our tea kettle in this cabinet, which is kind of an awkward cabinet already. It's a corner cabinet, so the space is a little bit weird. So having not that much stuff in there makes a lot of sense. And then down here below, I decided to put our mixing bowl and our colander. And it has these little pull-out shelves that's really, really handy when you need to access these items. I think that you've probably noticed that inside most of the drawers, there's this kind of very retro lining covering the bottoms. So most of the drawers have that. And I cleaned inside of here the other day when I was going around and cleaning the cabinets, and I sprayed everything down and I wiped it down really good. But then this drawer over here where I want to put the silverware didn't have one of those liners. So what I did for now is I just temporarily folded some parchment paper and laid it in here. And I'm gonna put the silverware into this drawer. I actually purchased a nice little bamboo drawer organizer from IKEA that I was planning on using in this space. But what's funny is I diligently measured the dimensions of it to make sure that it would fit into the drawer. But what I wasn't considering was that it might not fit my utensils. So the big utensils fit just fine. But then when I was trying to put in the smaller utensils, the little spoon went into the little compartments just fine. but then the little fork was not able to fit in the bottom compartment. And I thought about keeping it and just making it work, but honestly, it bugged me too much. So I decided to return it. So we're just going to plop these in here for now until I can find a drawer organizer that actually fits both the drawer and my utensils. Another kitchen organizing hack that I love is to store containers like this with the lids on them. And that reduces the likelihood that you're going to end up with meal prep containers or Tupperware that has bottoms that are missing the tops or tops that don't have bottoms. And they're less likely to float around your kitchen or go missing. So, like I said, I had tried to purchase a couple bamboo drawer organizing containers from IKEA, but the one that I got for the silverware didn't work. So, I really, really wanted to make sure that this one was going to fit the stuff that I wanted it to fit before I actually took it out of the package. So, I just took a few things and I stuck it inside to make sure it was actually going to fit. We have this. I better put this down for safety purposes. We have this really large, really sharp meat cleaver that can cut through bones. That's really handy when I'm making things like whole chicken and chicken noodle soup. And I really wanted it to be contained in a container and not just like floating about the drawers and sliding around. So I wanted to make sure that it fit in here, which it does. So I'm going to take this out of the package and put it inside, I think, the top rack here. And then we've also got some other knives. I'm going to put this down again. Why am I waving around with this? Like, why? We've got a lot of other things like wooden spoons, this roller that I use when I want to make Chinese dumplings, and some other things. So let's go through and let's try to get all of this stuff into the drawers. Okay, moving on, I decided to put these cork hot pads and our cotton coasters in this drawer right next to the stove because I want them right there close to me when I'm cooking or I'm making tea or something and I need to put something hot on the counter. Because we have white quartz countertops, and I don't know if you know this about quartz, I didn't know about it until fairly recently, but you are not supposed to put hot items directly on the countertops if you have quartz because anything around or over 150 degrees Fahrenheit can cause damage to your countertops. And I definitely don't want us to end up with discoloration on our countertops, which would be really expensive for us to replace. So, my hope is that keeping these hot pads and coasters close by for hot items will prevent that. And then to the left of the oven, I found the perfect place to put the flat items like my cutting board and my sheet pan because they already have some built-in vertical organization here. So I first put the broiler pan that I use when I'm broiling things down there, and then I also put the cutting board and my large baking pan down there as well. But then I changed my mind with the broiler pan because the two pieces were just kind of flopping around too much, so I decided to put it flat underneath where I had the mixing bowls. And then I put some of the hand towels that I have in that and also the oven mitts so that they're easily accessible when I need to take things off of the stove or out of the oven. So my idea for this stuff here was to put it in this cabinet behind me that you see, and I already was testing some of the stuff to make sure that it would actually fit, just like height wise. Although I can adjust the shelves, I really don't feel like getting into that today. So I'm gonna be putting baking stuff up here, and then things like our waffle machine, our toaster, our Ninja blender stuff. I'm going to try to fit it all in here so that we can have all of these big appliances in one place. I was looking at all of this stuff and then I looked over here and I realized I completely forgot about my rice cooker, which is sitting over here. So cannot forget about that guy. Have to find a place for that. But can I tell you how excited I am about this toaster? I loved our toaster in Germany and I struggled to find one that was as good. I wanted these long slots for like longer pieces of bread, but what I really wanted and couldn't find here in the USA until now was a toaster that did this, which is like a little shelf that you can put buns and things on top of to like toast it and warm it up. I love using it for my sandwiches. It is so cool. And I was so happy to finally find a toaster in the USA that did this. My precious rice cooker didn't fit in the other cabinet, so we're gonna put it in the bottom here. And then there's also this that goes inside of the rice cooker. It's like a steaming tray, but what I actually use this for is boiling eggs. When I boil eggs, then I take them out and I put them in here, and that helps them dry off and cool quickly, which is really important if you want nice peelable eggs. So that's my little minimalist kitchen secret for you today. Next up, we're going to be tackling the spices and the condiments here, and I'm going to put them in this cabinet. But because this cabinet also doesn't have a lining on the inside like the drawer over there, I'm going to just use for now some parchment paper to kind of line the shelf just in case anything leaks, especially with the oils and honeys and things. You don't want it to leak into the nice wood of your cabinets. So we're just going to get something down to protect that section in there first before we start putting everything away. So there we go. Now the spice and condiment cabinet is somewhat organized. Maybe at some point I'll try to get things a little bit better arranged in here, but for right now, this is functional, it's clean, it works, and that's all that matters. So now we're going to try to organize the pantry, and I've got all of the foods on the counter behind me. I've got some over here on the island, and we're going to try to get them all into this pantry closet. But then also I grabbed a basket or two because this area here has kind of become a catch-all for stuff that doesn't have a home yet in our house. And I do have some things that need to be either decluttered or, rehomed. So I'm gonna go through and try to get rid of the stuff on that flat surface as well once I get the food into the pantry. Well, here we go. It's not perfect, but it's done, and it's mine. I think it's a great starting point. It's a lot of space, so I have plenty to work with in the future if I do choose to reorganize it again. I know I mentioned in my last video that a neighbor gave us cookies when we moved in, and I've been saving this to give back to her when I can make something nice. So over here in the fruit bowl, I've been saving some bananas that I've been ripening so that I can make her my famous rice cooker banana bread and drop it off to her family. So that's the plan with this. So while we were doing renovations, this little kind of flat surface here kind of became a landing place for a lot of stuff that just we didn't know where to put at the time or that we needed to have access to quickly. We didn't have any tables or anything. So we were just dropping stuff here. And now it's time to try to clear off this countertop and try to get rid of some of this stuff. This is a bowl that I got when we were on vacation in Greece that's carved from an olive tree, and I'm definitely going to use this to keep my keys inside. I'm not sure if it's going to be here or somewhere else, but right now I don't have anywhere else to put it, so it's staying here. And while we were doing our floors, we really needed to pay attention to the humidity inside the house because a lot of humidity is bad for flooring, but we were also trying to air things out so that it wouldn't be so dusty and stinky. And it was super, super hot while the guys were here working. So we were using this to keep an eye on that. And we're probably going to keep this in this area as well. And then we were trying to choose paint colors for our walls. So we had a bunch of different paint swatches. And then of the ones that we liked, then we got bigger peel and stick kind of samples here, but we did find a color that we liked, and we have extra paint samples of that color now. There was some left over, so we don't need to keep these, and I'm going to go ahead and declutter that, as well as these big peel and stick ones too. So let's go ahead and get rid of those. And then moving down, just some extra cleaning cloths that need to be rehomed. Unfortunately, we did have a bowl that got broken during the move. So we have one of these wide salad or dinner bowls that needs to be decluttered. So we're going to put that in there. This needs to be taken somewhere else. That's just when the boys wanted to go play outside while we were doing renovations. We had it here so we could quickly put sunscreen on them and send them out to play. Husband's flashlight, husband's gloves, a pen that needs to be put away as well. And then how cute are these little Halloween decorations? I found these at Target the other day and I just knew I had to have them because I think that they go really, really well with the color scheme in our house and the vibe of our house, like the backsplash that we have that's the blue tile backsplash. I'm kind of vibing with that. As you can probably tell from this super old flannel that I'm wearing, I've always liked these kinds of colors. So we've got this kind of glam rock punk skull that's kind of Shakespeare, but kind of Lady Gaga. And then we also have a iridescent blue pumpkin, and then also this kind of pinky orangey one. And this is a decor trick that I learned in the past, which is that when you're decorating and styling things, you never want to have an even number. Generally, you usually want to have an odd number. So here I have 3, or you could use 1, or you could use 5. But having an odd number somehow is just more pleasing to the human eye. So that's what I've done in this space. Halloween is my favorite holiday, and I'm really excited to do a little bit of decorating this year because this is the first time that we've had a house to decorate and also get some trick-or-treaters here. So now that we've taken my kitchen from hot mess to squeaky clean and organized, let's see the before and after results from all of that extreme cleaning, decluttering, and organizing. Just in case you forgot, here's what the kitchen looked like before we started this little project. And now here is what it looks like afterwards. I just love the final result, and what I love even more is how good it feels when you have a simplified kitchen like this, and instead of looking around and seeing cluttered countertops and stuff all over the place, you see empty space and you feel like you have room to breathe. So it's always tough to tackle a big project like this, but the final result is so, so worth it. Okay, so after taking a really quick lunch break, I came into the bedroom, and as you can see, there's not a whole lot to do in the bedroom here. Just the stuff on the floor behind me, I need to kind of try to find a place for right now. My husband and I were working on getting the bed set up the day before, and it is set up, but I don't want to show that to you yet because I do plan on doing a complete room makeover video showing you the before and after, what it looked like before and what it looks like, well, not now because we still don't have curtains on the windows. We still don't have the bedspread that I ordered that somehow got delayed. But when it's done, I'm going to show you and it's going to look amazing. But until then, let's get started on this. So here we are in the main bathroom, and my goal for today's organizing session is to just go through all of this stuff that's on the counter as well as on the floor and just find a home for all of this stuff, whether it's in this bathroom or one of the boys' bathrooms upstairs. We do have some bathrooms up there for them. So I'm going to be going through and trying to use these organizing containers that I got from Target to organize as much as I can in here. And then if I need to rehome anything, I need to go get that basket. I forgot to grab it. So what I'm thinking about for this space is in these drawers, I want to put some of the smaller and most used items, the things that can fit in containers like this. And then on this side, I'm gonna put things like maybe toilet paper and other items that we don't need access to on a daily basis. Also bigger things like this hair cutting kit that my husband uses to cut our boys' hair. That can go over here because it's just a little bit harder to access with the toilet right next to it. And then here in this cabinet, I'll put the larger items that we do use on a more regular basis, but that don't fit into the drawers. So that's the plan for right now. So I think I did a pretty good job of getting everything put away. If you look in the top drawer here, you can see that we've got our toothpaste. My husband has his hairspray, comb, shaving stuff, floss, more shaving stuff, extra floss. But you can see that this drawer is nicely arranged and it doesn't really slide around when I move it, and it has everything nicely compartmentalized. Oh, and the reason I like to use plastic for bathroom drawer organization versus some other material is because I have kids, and when you have kids, you have stuff that starts to look like this in your bathroom, and I don't really want that getting on like a rattan basket or seagrass or something like that, because plastic is so much easier to clean and maintain. So that's the rationale for having plastic in the drawers like this. And then down here is kind of my drawer. It's pretty empty, as you can tell. I've got my glasses and contact stuff, my razor, my 2 hairbrushes, and my makeup case that I always keep in this United amenities bag here. And then the other drawers are like down here, are like feminine items and stuff I'm not gonna show you. So you can see I have quite a few of these containers left. I'll probably use these to try to organize the boys' bathroom, but not today. We're not gonna get to that today because they're coming home soon and I need to be done. But the one thing that I couldn't fit away that I wanted to was my husband's hairspray. And I know that he hates when I lay it sideways because he says that it clogs the spraying hole. So I wanna try to get in here into this cabinet and get it to fit in here. So what I'm thinking is remove the glass here, and these pieces maybe move up here. Perfect. So the last thing I want to do in here is give the counters and inside of the sink a nice good scrub down. I realized that this was one flat surface that I hadn't cleaned since we moved in, which is kind of nasty. So we're really gonna go in and give these things a nice good cleaning. Wow, now that the countertop is cleared off, you can really see the pattern and how rich the color is here just through this granite. And this looks like almost a crack here. I don't know if they fixed it, but there's nothing to the touch. It's completely smooth. I mean, this is just really striking, especially over here. It's really bold. I'm not gonna say what I think that this looks like, but I think you guys can probably imagine what I'm gonna say. Well, we didn't get everything that I hoped to accomplish today, but you know what that means. That just means that you need to make sure that you've hit the like button and subscribe to this channel and turn on all notifications so that you don't miss out on any of the videos that I'm going to be sharing coming up. Maybe by that time we'll have a real actual table and not just a folding table that the previous owners left behind. So fingers crossed, here's to hoping. And if you are looking for more tips and ideas related to cleaning, decluttering, or organizing, you can go check out one of these videos that YouTube thinks that you'll like, or I'll see you next week. Until then, take care. Bye-bye.